Hello and welcome to the Link2Feed Training Series. This video is going to discuss how to create a new client profile in Link2Feed. We are starting here on the dashboard of the test site. And before creating a profile, we're going to want to confirm if that individual already has an existing profile in the network. And strategies for doing a full and complete search can be found in the Recording a TFAP Visit video. But remember, you do have all these different options in order to find someone that you might be looking for. It is likely that individuals may have already gone to another pantry and have had a profile created, especially since it's now a statewide network. But after you have done a full search and decided that this person does not already have a profile, you can go ahead and click New Client. So now you will see an empty profile ready to fill in all the information. And you might be filling this out with the person in front of you, collecting the information verbally, or you might be using the DES hard copy TFAP application sheet that that person has filled out. The profile does have all these different tabs at the top, but don't worry, there's not a whole lot of information that goes in some of these other tabs, but we will walk you through step by step. The most basic information that is required for TFAP is name, address, household members, birthday, and the amount of food provided. And there are other details in the profile that are optional and not necessarily required. However, complete profiles are encouraged whenever possible. So we're going to start with the first question here. First, food bank visit. And one thing to note is that anything with this blue asterisk star will require a response. So even if it's unknown, it will require you to indicate something. So for this profile that we're going to create, since we haven't entered in any information, they are called anonymous client. This is their client ID number here, and we are going to go ahead and continue to fill out their profile. So I'm going to create someone here. And the first few questions are fairly self-explanatory, like name, birthday, enter the information as relevant. And if you are filling out a profile for someone that might not know their exact birthday, you can indicate that here where it asks, is date of birth estimated? But again, as accurate of information as possible is preferred. The marital status question is not a requirement of TFAP, but if they indicate which is most correct, you can check that here. And the address is a requirement of TFAP. However, if it is an individual that is unhoused or doesn't have a home or an address, there is an option down here at the bottom that indicates no fixed address / undisclosed. So if that happens to be the case for this individual, you can check that box. It will gray out the address and let you move forward even though it has that little star. But once you start typing in an address, it will prompt you with where it thinks you're looking for. So if you see that address, go ahead and click it and it will fill the rest out for you and not only save you time and effort, but have accurate spelling and accurate county and zip code and those sorts of things. So it's best to click an option if it gives you the correct prompt. Housing type is, again, another question that's not required, but helps to give a full picture of those that we are serving. This individual that I am making up on the test site selected other. Email address and phone numbers aren't required, but they might be helpful. For example, in the instance of a food recall, you want to contact everyone in the previous month that received, for example, peaches that might have been recalled. You could send them an email or give them a call, just an extra way to contact them if there were ever a need for that. Languages is not a TFAP requirement, but if you scroll through this list, there's a lot of different options, or if the client indicates that they also speak Spanish, that might be helpful for providing them services in their preferred language. So just another way to keep track of information here. Ethnicity, you have your options here and your other none undisclosed options here. For TFAP, it is not a requirement to enter the information in this section, but if you distribute CSFP, which is that senior box program, you cannot check these three options. You do have to select an option here. So it is good to get in the habit of filling out a complete profile. But again, for TFAP, it is not strictly required. Self-identifies, if any of these options apply to the individual, that can be indicated, but there's this none, other, and undisclosed option. And down here at the bottom is where you're going to want to list all the household members, and this is important when keeping track of the total number of individuals served. So for example, if you are running a report at the end of the month trying to find out how many households and individuals you served, if you don't enter the household members in this profile, your number of individuals served will be much lower than perhaps reality is. And so you will want to enter those individuals by clicking Add. Oh, and it'll tell you if you didn't select something correctly. So back here, gonna click Add, and it will pop up with a little mini profile window where you can enter the information for that household member. So this client has a little Michaels that was born a few months ago. And again, these options, you can select what applies or undisclosed and click Save Changes. And so if you keep adding members, they will be listed here. If you want to go back and edit that household member, you have this little edit option. These little arrows will go to that person's full profile if you want to complete it, but I'm going to click back at this moment. This upwards arrow will make that individual the head of household, which ultimately doesn't have a whole lot of meaning associated with it, but it is an option if you want to keep track of that. And the trash can does not delete a profile, it just removes them from the household. So, for example, if you have a child that turns 18 and is moving out of the household, you can use this little trash can option to separate them. And it doesn't delete their profile, it just separates it from this household. So you would be able to go back and find them if they decided to come back on their own as their own household. But if you have entered all the information on this personal tab, you can go ahead and click Save and Next. And it's important to always click Save and Next because if you just click Save, you will only have saved this one tab of information. And if you don't complete all the tabs within 72 hours, it will delete your progress and you will not have the information saved that you spent time entering. So be sure to click Save and Next. And the next tab will be a monthly income tab. However, we don't ever ask for proof of income. There's just a few clicks on this page to essentially get through the tab. And so for only one member of the household, you're going to want to click Add and select this little target button because it's the primary income. And for selecting type, you're going to select Undisclosed. And that's all you have to do on this page. If you happen to click Add again by mistake, you can click this little trash can and it'll get rid of that for you. But you only have to do this for one household member, and then you will be ready to click Save and Next again. And this TFAP page just outlines the income guidelines for receiving TFAP. And you can also keep track of proxies for this household. So if Lindsay Michaels has her neighbor signed up to pick up her food box for her, Michael's neighbor. You can enter their information there, but this does not supersede the paperwork that we ask to keep on file for proxies. It is just an additional tool in order to keep track of proxy information. But if there aren't any proxies for this household, then you don't have to take any action on this page. And if you've noticed, all these tabs at the top have now turned green. So you have finished the profile. And if you click Save and Next, you will be taken to the Services tab where you are ready to create and record a new TFAP visit. Or if you want to go back to the dashboard and create your next profile, find your new client, what have you. These other tabs down here are just extra tools. The notes will be a page where you can keep notes for the profile. So if you remember, you can create a note when recording a visit. You can also create a note without recording a visit. So again, you can mark it as an alert, mark it as private, or if it's only related to CSFP, you can indicate that here. If you don't distribute CSFP, that would not be relevant. And the activity page just kind of keeps tabs on any changes that have been made on this profile. So for example, agency test, the account that we're logged into right now, is the user that entered all of this information. If there were any changes made, for example, if an address were updated, it would be indicated here on this activity page.